this is Alex Annist. The question that was asked was, how does Jimi Hendrix play lines and chords at the same time? And the examples given were Little Wing, Castles Made of Sand, and Hey Joe. So I listened to those tunes, and generally speaking, I don't think that Hendrix does play lines and chords at the same time exactly. I feel like that's a thing that when I was growing up, people would say Jimi Hendrix is the greatest guitarist ever because he could play rhythm and lead simultaneously. And I do think Hendrix is an amazing guitar player and worthy of a lifetime of study. Of course, really just the thing that makes him so cool, and I think that there's other guitar players who do this too. Joe Pass comes to mind, is that he sort of has a seamless way of transitioning between playing lines and playing chords, or what we think of as rhythm. And I think in the case of Hendrix, a lot of that comes from these basic triad shapes that he tends to play with, and pentatonic scale shapes that he will incorporate. So for example, in what I just played, the first chord's an E minor, so he plays this open E. Whoop. It's sort of like in between an E minor. Yeah, that's all E minor pentatonic stuff there. He goes to the G chord. That's based on this G triad. Hits the low G. He probably hits it with his thumb. A chord. Whoop. Back to E minor. And then this is... I love this shape because all he's doing is he's playing a minor pentatonic lick, but he's always playing the note with his first finger one string above. Now here he's playing a chord. Again, he probably uses his thumb. I don't play that way. It's like really awkward for me, but while this chord is ringing, he's playing this melodic line. So there's an example of where he maybe is playing chords and lines at the same time. And my favorite part, again with the double stops. Low G, this chord shape with an open G in it, which is reminiscent of some other stuff that he does. But, he's just got a melodic line that's all parallel. So this is not a tutorial on how to play that, but basically my sort of experience of listening to Hendrix and trying to figure out what he's doing, which is, it's not like I've transcribed a ton of Hendrix, but I think I've done my fair share, is that he's kind of bouncing back and forth. A lot of times, like I listen to Castles Made of Sand, and he'll play the bottom of a chord. I'm going to screw that up because I didn't transcribe it enough. But he'll play the bottom of a chord, and then he'll play a lick up above it, or this that's really just a B flat and a C and a G. A lot of times he'll use open strings like that. So, or this so there again. So he's just using these basic shapes. That's a C chord with a B flat in the bass. That's a typical B flat idea to a C idea. That G chord is like a power chord with open strings, or you can bar it. Up. So those are some of my thoughts on that whole Hendrix idea. If I go much longer, I'm going to start repeating myself. So that's my answer to the question of how Hendrix played chords and lines at the same time. And thanks to Simon for asking the question. And definitely, if people have another perspective, I'm open to it for sure. There's a lot of ways to look at what's happening with a person like Hendrix. But I would also recommend checking out some of the solo Joe Pass stuff for the same idea. He'll go from walking a bass line into playing lines and then chords, and as you're listening to it, it's almost like you're hearing three things: a bass line and chords and melodic improvisation. But when you break it down, you're actually usually just hearing one thing, which is really cool. All right. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.